you're kind of an interesting package. You're a lot of things to a
Yep.
lot of different people,
Yep.
depending on the medium that they find you on. The first thing that kind of stood out to me when I heard about you and who you were was obviously the Yamabushi part of what you're doing and how that came to be. So you are an official Dewa Sanzan Yamabushi as of 2017.
That's correct. Yeah.
What does that mean per se? Like, how did that come to be? What do you do? Maybe kind of explain that a little bit if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So when I was like, when I was placed here in Shawnee, it's the middle of nowhere. It's like we don't have a Shinkansen, so we're less remote than Naomori. But except we do have a plane. We do have we have an airport for a place with what, about 300,000 people. So
Okay.
yeah. And so I don't know. I just love this. I fell in love with this area when I first got here, and wanted to do something that to help share the place, right? But for in terms of like, so what's the easiest way to say it? So my boss, his name's Takeharu. He had the idea of using Yamabushi training to both share this area, but also provide, because Yamabushi training is something that's like for more than 1,000 years, people have been coming to these mountains and doing aesthetic training to better themselves, for all manner of reasons, self-development, mainly self-development, but also for like healing as well. Like if you've gone through something big in your life, it's good to come out and experience nature, and the way that the Yamabushi have been doing that for over 1,000 years. And so my boss, he started the Yamabushi Do project 4 years ago, and at that time I was interested in promoting this area but had no concrete way of doing that, and then a friend introduced us, and yeah, since then I've just been working with them.
Very cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
I guess, my first question really is like, how did you find yourself in Japan? What brought you to Japan of all
Okay,
places?
yeah. So since I was little, so when I was in primary school, so I have an older brother and older sister. Probably before that, before my brother lived in Japan for a year. I think that was a really huge influence on me. But before that, we had a whole number of Japanese students come to homestay
Oh,
at
okay.
our house. Okay, when I was tiny, and
Yeah.
and I just like, I don't know, had a chance to interact with Japanese people and loved it. And then my brother went to Japan. He lived in Tokyo for a year when he was in high school. This is 20 years ago though. And yeah, I remember when he came back, I thought that was really cool. He showed me photos and it just looked really cool.
Yeah.
And then the next year, so in New Zealand, high school starts when you're 13 or 12 or 13, and you can learn Japanese at high school. And so I did. I started when I was 13, and then I just loved it, fell in love with the language and the culture, and kept learning. Then went to Japan on a school trip in 2005, spent 2 weeks here, and when I was leaving on the airplane from Narita, I remember just looking down at the ground and saying, I want to live here.
Yeah.
And so I kept up my Japanese study at university, and during university I did a 6-month study abroad in Okayama.
Okay.
Okayama City.
Yeah.
And then I graduated, and then I worked in a bank in New Zealand for about 3 or 4 months, and then I got pulled up the jet, and I said, "See you later."
There you go.
Jumped on the plane and came. Yeah. And then, so I did jet for 4 years, and then I wanted to study translation and be a full-time translator. So I went back to New Zealand, but my application for the university fell through. So I stayed home for a couple of months, and then I moved back here and got married.
There you
So
go.
I
As
was
it
I
goes.
was engaged. I was engaged before I went back, and got married, and then I decided I'd just be a translator without the qualifications, but they went all right, but it wasn't good enough, and so I found a job at the local university, which I've been doing for the past 6 years. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, it's a tricky path becoming a translator in Japanese to English. I looked at it at one point as a possible option, and then I looked at the qualifications and what you had to do to kind of get your foot in the door, and I gave that a hard no pretty fast.
Yeah, I like it. I enjoy it, but it's not easy to get into. But
no,
it's good. Like can use my skills. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, as part of your kind of promotion of the region and of the practice that you're involved in, I guess like what's the response been like? Have you been able to effectively be in touch with people? Has the reception been pretty positive so far?
So yeah, pre-COVID, we were doing pretty well.
I suppose so.
Yeah, like the programs are so. Yeah, pre-COVID we were doing really well in terms of sales, and then we had to cancel everything. That was last year around this time. But up until then, we had slow progress. So for the Yamabushi trainings, we had it's quite unique, and it's not cheap, and so we tried to get people who, I don't know, anyone can join, but in terms of numbers, so what I mean to say is that in terms of numbers of people, it's not that many people, but the people that do come, they come with, they leave with their lives changed, and I've seen it firsthand. There's this one guy, the Spanish guy, he flew all the way from Spain just to do this training, and that actually I think that's quite a big point, because if you heard of people, it might exist, but have you heard of people going, like, their first time to Japan, they go straight to Aomori?
Not very often, unless they're huge Apple fans for some reason.
Right? Because people, they come and it's their first time in Japan and they come straight to us in Tsuruoka. Like, have you even heard of Tsuruoka?
Personally, I haven't actually, no.
Yeah. It's a tiny city of about 100,000 people, and they come straight, and it's their first time in Japan and they come and join us. So
that's a commitment for sure.
Yeah. And they leave with just lives changed. Like they're really I've seen it. So that Spanish guy I was talking about. Mm-hmm. So during the Yamabushi training, one of the main concepts that we try to teach people is called uketamo, which is from uketamawaru, the Japanese for I accept, right? Or it means accept, but we translate uketamo as I accept. And this guy, he when he went back to Spain, he got uketamo tattooed on his side.
Okay.
So like that's one example of someone who's been heavily impacted by
no doubt
training, but
no doubt. What I guess when you say impacted, what would you say is the biggest thing that people typically get out of Yamabushi training or being in the environment and doing the practice with you guys?
The mindset, I would say. I can talk about my own personal experience, but like we try to teach the mindset of the Yamabushi because it's ancient. It's been around for more than 1,000 years, and we think it's wonderful. It's all about acceptance, which is also common. It's what Zen Buddhism is basically based around. But for us, the training out in the mountains is a way to embody that acceptance, and people they embody it, and then they go back to their normal lives, and they can use the teachings, or they can use what they've learned on the mountains in their everyday life. and that's through the mindset, or that's through learning uketa more, actually on the mountains with us. I can give you an example. I use it all the time. So, for example, my dad died about 4 years ago, and so I had to come to terms with that. Of course, time helps things heal, but if you are able to readily accept things for what they are, it's easier to move on. And so that's the sort of mindset that we try to get people to learn or to embody, is how we put it.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Is, as a foreigner trying to embody this practice and embody this mindset and teach people that, is the reception quite positive? Or are they looking for, how does that work as kind of the, you're a little bit out of place, kind of in this very, rural region in Japan.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think people we have to try and find the people that want to do it. Like, it's not a mainstream sort of thing. Like, not anyone. I said before, anyone can do it. That doesn't change. But like, you have to be physically able to walk on the mountains, and you have to have a bit of mental fortitude about you.
For sure.
Because we also do things like waterfall meditation, and we do some rituals which are not, I'm not allowed to talk about, but they're not easy by any stretch of the term. So we have to search for the right people to come and join us. And we even, if people do apply and they feel that they want to join us, we have a video chat with them beforehand, just to make sure that we're both on the same level. Because we've had some people that come and they've not been able to do it, and so they've had to pull out halfway through the training, which is quite unfortunate, and we want to avoid that as much as possible.
Wow, very interesting.
Yeah.
And as you're reaching out to these people, what's been your best channel? What's been your best kind of technique of getting in touch with? It's such, like you say, it's such a unique experience that you're offering people in such a rural part of Japan. How do you find your audience?
So Instagram.
Okay.
Instagram's been pretty big. Then the biggest thing is Chris Broad. Do you know Chris Broad? He has a YouTube abroad in Japan.
Yeah.
So that's been the biggest way that we've received inquiries, I think.
Okay.
That comes up all the time. And then so Instagram and then YouTube, and we're trying to do a bit more YouTube at the moment. Trying to do a bit more YouTube. Thinking of ideas for how to resonate with people.
Interesting.
And then traditional media as well, like newspapers. What else have we been doing? Mainly social media marketing.
And do you get a lot of Japanese interest in this as well, or is it mostly foreign?
So we specifically target foreigners. So the training that we provide it in English. So it's everything's in Japanese, and then I would be there or somebody else would be there to translate.
Okay.
And so it's for English speakers. And there is a Japanese version that people can do with our Master Hoshino. They can do it themselves. And so if someone does make an inquiry, if they are a Japanese person, we would refer them to Master Hoshino directly. And so we mainly focus on English speakers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. I guess any tips that you might give people who are looking to, I guess I get a lot of interest or contact from people who are like, I don't enjoy living in my home country. I'm not liking the job that I'm working. They're very dissatisfied with a lot of different parts of their life. And it's always tough to give people an answer like, I'm sorry, but moving to Japan will not solve your problems. It will not be a better experience for you. It's I guess from my perspective, a lot of it has to come from within. You have to find out, be very honest, like, what is it that you want to do with your life? Why do you want to do it? How do you want to approach that? Your day-to-day is a lot more focused, I think, on mindfulness and introspection and positivity. Do you have anything that you would say to those folks that are kind of going through those same experiences?
This is personal. This is not what it comes from my experience as Yamabushi, but this is probably not what the Yamabushi would say. But actually, no, that's not true. Yamabushi would say this, but I would say just you have to try things. Like I write a blog every day, and I'm trying to make more YouTube videos. And so the reason is, like, I don't actually know what I want to do. And so I'm trying different things to see where I really feel like alive, or really where I really feel that I'm doing something that I feel I should be doing. Because sometimes I get like depends on the job, but sometimes I get a job and I'm like, I really don't want to do it. But if you've said you're going to do it, you have to do it. But I don't know. I would just suggest to try different things. When it comes to living in Japan, though, like as you say, it's not going to be the be all and end all. Like it's the grass is always greener sort of thing. I think because I've seen people come and go, and like they've been quite dissatisfied with their experience. But for me, so I think I've always just had like a positive outlook, and I think that's really helped. And I also came to Japan with Japanese experience. Like I had already lived in Japan as well for a few months.
Makes a huge difference.
That makes a huge difference, especially like because I can understand at least a lot of the language and a lot of the culture. Like I don't know, I'm not sure. If in regards to living in Japan though, like just trying to build experience, I guess. Yeah.
No, I think that's a good point. Just if you want to try it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I would say like act. Like don't just think about it. Like do something about it. Mm-hmm. Make sure you're acting on your feelings or your thoughts rather than just letting them brew.